This is the reason why that sometimes you see, and I do get questions about this. Sometimes you see listings where maybe they're doing that for strategy, or they're doing a combination of any of those strategies, and you're like, that listing is doing good. It makes no sense. Like, that goes against everything I've heard. They're not using long tail keywords. They're not using specific keywords, and it's doing good. So maybe that is why that strategy's worked for them. It's worked for that niche. It's worked for whatever they're selling. So that's why it's important to test. The other thing, kind of on a similar side note, is that you don't know kind of behind the scenes what they're doing. And we don't know if they're running ads to that listing. We don't know. We don't know what they're doing. We see the iceberg, which is that listing, maybe their tags and their title and the supposed success. We don't know what they've done on the back end. I talked about this before, I can't remember when, but I tested Facebook ads a few years ago pretty heavily. And I spent a couple of $1,000s on Facebook ads for a couple of my better performing listings to kind of see if I can get some momentum that way. And I was getting a lot of sales, but I was also spending a lot of money. I actually lost money. But if you go to those listings, as a competitor or as someone else, and you see a listing with 100 sales, and no matter which keywords I was using, it wasn't coming from it wasn't coming from Etsy, it was coming from Facebook. So you as a competitor are probably like, oh, dang, I'm going to copy those keywords. I'm going to copy exactly what he's doing. But you don't know, are they sending ads to this listing? Is there something else behind the scenes? Did they have something featured, in a blog article, which I've had that happen too. So you just don't know precisely where the traffic is coming from. You can kind of use those cues, but at the end of the day, it's not like a one size fits all, end all, be all type deal, because you don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes, if that makes sense.
So I have a free SEO guide for you that goes in depth on SEO strategies and best practices so that you can apply them right away and get more traffic, get more sales at the end of the day. If you want that, type SEO in the comments, or if you're listening to the podcast, look in the show notes and I will send you over that link so you can start using that stuff right away.
So let's move on. I want to go through Bill's shop here, but do you guys have any pressing questions that you want answered before I dive into that?
I have one.
Sure. What's going on, Diane?
Oh, just waking up. I didn't
waking up. Welcome.
I haven't had coffee yet. So you were talking about keywords in the title, and then I make sure those keywords are somehow in the description. And then you said, did I hear you right when you said use different tags in the tags, or the same?
So it depends on which strategy you're using. The first strategy is just to match the same keywords from your title to your tags.
That's what I've always done.
Yeah. But so the first two strategies are basically matching your title and tags. The third and fourth strategies you're using, and I'll post this somewhere. I'll post this in the recap or whatever, an overview of the strategies. I think there's a course in the classroom of it too, but I'll make it clear so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about, and you don't have to write it down and forget it. But yeah, the third and fourth strategies are basically you're doing different tags from your keywords. So it's going to be less relevant, but the potential audience reach is more. That's why sometimes those strategies can work.
Okay. Now, talk to me about tags. The tags, let me see where I was going with this. I've always understood you don't repeat the same first word in tags. Like I sell addiction recovery jewelry. So you use addiction recovery, but you don't use addiction counselor, addiction awareness, addiction this, addiction that, right?
Oh, you mean like in your title?
In your tags. In the tags down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the algorithm will piece your stuff together, so you don't have to keep using addiction.
Right. That was my understanding.
Yeah, you don't have to. The little piece, so you don't like if you're selling a necklace, you don't have to write, you know, statement necklace, pendant necklace. You don't have to repeat that multiple times because the algorithm
Hmm.
will see if someone types in, you know, statement, uh, you know, if someone types in statement necklace and you have statement jewelry and you don't have statement necklace, and you have like necklace gift, it'll still put those two together and could have the potential to be shown to that person. Now, the exception that I make, they say, right, you don't have to do that. But I do make exceptions to that because at the end of the day, the algorithm is basically a computer program. It's a calculator that just matches and puts stuff together, does its own thing. So if I have a super high value, high traffic keyword, I sometimes will keep those keywords together. You know, just as an example, if pendant necklace and statement necklace have, you know, have done really well for me and they get a lot of traffic, I will keep those together, and I will be redundant with the necklace part, because I want to, if someone types in statement necklace or pendant necklace, I want to repeat that also in the tags because I don't want to leave it up to chance for the algorithm to piecemeal that together, because I know that's a high value keyword. So I will, in those cases, keep those keywords together to make sure it's super relevant and not leave it up to chance. They say you don't have to do that, but again, I sometimes will. It's 100% not going to hurt you if you do it. The reason why you shouldn't do it is because you're wasting space for other keywords that you could put in there. But again, most of the stuff that I talk about or that I think about are just all come down to kind of strategy. You know, if it makes sense strategically, then I'm all for it. If you're just doing it because like I don't know why I did it, then you know we have to kind of rethink it. So that's kind of how I think about it, and that's kind of the exception to the rule, if that makes sense.
That made sense. I usually just do research on comparable items and borrow their keywords.
Yeah, I mean that's a fine strategy as long as they're relevant. You can,
Yeah, definitely. I have to make them relevant for sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
and
definitely a
then
good strategy.
so in alt text, do you use like keywords there?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even talk about alt text, but yes.
Okay.
So alt text is you would write alt text for the alt text is for, it was originated for the blind community. So if someone is searching on their phone and they go to a website, they can have stuff read. You know, there's programs where it'll read it for them, but they can't read pictures unless you put alt text there. So basically, it will read what the picture is. So that's how you should write it. But you're going to put those naturally occurring keywords in your alt text. So basically, write it in more of a sentence form. With those naturally flowing keywords, you know, like this is a picture of a gold rose pendant necklace. It has a very small dainty rose in the center of the pendant. The pendant is oval shaped, you know what I mean? So I just used a bunch of keywords in there, but it is also, you know, it's also beneficial for the blind community, and it serves the purpose of the alt text.
Yeah, I usually ask ChatGPT to write a description of the item as if I were blind.
Yeah, I mean that's a good prompt. Yeah.
And then I give it the amount of characters.
Yeah, yeah.
So
the more specific with prompts, the better.
Okay. You answered my questions. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome.